And as Brandon would say, remember, wherever you're watching us, retweet, share, send it out, text it, email it, tell your friends that we are live with a very special program. Normally, I tune in to watch Brown House have experts on many topics, but lots and lots of breaking news and information. But tonight, I am going to do it a tad bit different. We do have a breaking news. We're going to address the breaking news in more details for, a little bit, but you might have heard it, so I'm going to just put you at ease. Yes, Iran has announced a new supreme leader who is the son of the late supreme leader. Mojtaba Khomeini has been called under pressure by IRGC as the new supreme leader of Islamic Republic of Iran. Yes, that is accurate. However, there are too many buts and ifs involved. Number one question is he even alive? Number two is, how many articles of Iran Constitution did you step on to make him the supreme leader? Because from all of our understanding as Iranians, those of us who deeply understand this constitution, he does not have any of the qualification. The department that could possibly promote him to supreme leader doesn't exist anymore because, well, this morning, Israel took out the building with all the clerics in it. Therefore, this is definitely not legitimized by anyone. But, desperate times call for desperate measures. And this is the last desperate measure by IRGC to try to pretend that everything is under control. And I can tell you, nothing is under control when it comes to Iran's regime. They have collapsed. They do not have the ranking. They do not have the departments or the government body to continue carrying on with their Velayat Faqih, which is the supreme leadership under the Shia Sharia. That I can promise you. We will have with us tonight Aaron Lavarka from Israel to give us some updates on what he's hearing on the ground, what is happening with the people, what is happening with Hezbollah, and what he's hearing about the operation continuing inside Iran. And we will also have the one and only Trevor Loudon. We're going to talk to him about, some of the confusion, some of the questions, some of the concerns that I have personally received, mainly from my American friends who are not very clear on what the circumstances are. Are we doing this right? Could this affect our midterm? Hey, by the way, is this even an unconstitutional move by President Trump? So Trevor will join us for a segment to go over all of that. And also my very dear friend, a fellow Iranian American and brother in Christ, Mohammad Faridi, will also join us to give us an insight into what he's feeling and also what he's hearing from Iranians inside Iran regarding the circumstances and what is happening, and any updates we can get from him. And the reason I chose to do a little less reporting, a little more, let's say, how we're all feeling about this is, as I said, the left has chose to twist this as well. You must be extremely desperate for hatred and misery when you get to a point of defending the Islamic regime of Iran. That is some sad moment for the left and anybody else who's joining this leftist movement. So I figured, let's counter the narrative with some truth from, inside Israel and fellow Iranians. And of course, Trevor Loudon, the man who always comes, shows up with the receipt, and he is so brilliant. It's hard to even disagree with him most of the time, right? I don't think I've ever even try to disagree with him. I do have Brandon's blessing to also inform you that the first batch of my book, The Architecture of Jihad, has been shipped to those of you who have placed your signed copy orders. We still have some inventory, so if you like to have a copy of the paperback signed, go ahead and go to my website, liveuptofreedom.com. You can click on the cover of the photo, the cover of the book, I apologize, and there you can place your order. And the official release on Amazon is March 21st, so you will get your copy about 2 weeks before the public release. That's liveuptofreedom.com, where you can get a copy of that. As I said, there's a lot to discuss, but because I know me, and I can get carried on, and I can get carried over, and I can keep talking and asking questions, getting excited about the discussion. I don't want to go to our guests before I remind everybody here that Worldview Tube is here because of your support. There are many ways you can support this network, of course, by sharing our message and by watching the network, but financially, there is a lot of heavy lifting on Brandon's shoulder every day. As he would say if he was here, minimum cost of monthly is about $40,000 a month for this network to stay up, and for people like me to not only have a daily program, but sometimes have the privilege to sit here and guest host Brandon's show. So if you like to support us during the show, on the lower third, you'll see all the information, all the URLs, and I'm going to do my best to remember to take more ad breaks. But before we dive into the excitement, the happy celebration moments, and maybe possibly some bad news, let's go ahead and hear from at least one of our sponsors. And then when we come back, we will be joined by Aaron Laborco. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
You woke up with a sore throat and a low-grade fever. You know you are getting sick, so here's your choices. You can get sicker and miss work, try to see a doctor this week, or sit hours in a crowded waiting room at urgent care.
I have a smarter option for you. Open your medical emergency kit. Match your symptoms to doctor-recommended prescription in your booklet and take the right meds now and get well faster.
This is not a first aid kit. It's like having an urgent care in your home. It includes doctor-prescribed medications to treat over 39 medical issues like respiratory infections, strep throat, pneumonia, UTIs, and more.
No waiting to see the doctor and no standing in line at the pharmacy. It's right here.
Every home should have at least one medical emergency kit, and here's how to order.
Go to worldviewhealthcare.com. Your kit to treat dozens of common and serious illnesses is rushed to your door. worldviewhealthcare.com. That's worldviewhealthcare.com.
The emergency kit available at worldviewhealthcare.com. Make sure you don't have to go to urgent care. I got pneumonia. I didn't have to go. I took this last year. Stayed at home, went to bed.
Hello, I'm Brandon House. Would you like to gain access to over 20 years of my radio shows, TV shows, my books? I've written 15 books, and most of those books are ebooks now. And we have conference DVDs, conferences where we filmed our conferences at the Ozarks, literally starting 20 years ago. It's all available in our archived vault. All you have to do is go to worldviewtube.com/vault, worldviewtube.com/vault, and for a reasonable monthly fee, you gain access to over 20 years of Christian worldview programming, news, information, books, documentaries, and a powerful search engine. And folks, it's a great way not only to educate yourself, equip yourself, but it's a big way that you can help fund our continuation as a broadcast network. Please check it out. worldviewtube.com/vault, worldviewtube.com/vault, and help us continue pushing out a Christian worldview.
Welcome back. Thanks so much for staying with me until now. And remember, this whole network is viewer supported. So every time we run an ad, every time we do a read, we need you to click on those links, go to those URLs, and help us stay on air. Because as Brandon would say, if he was here, you will not hear everything you're hearing right now, or yesterday, or Sunday, or Saturday. Nobody broke into their weekend to come on and give you all the updates, all the details from inside and outside of Iran, Israel, America, all of it. So we need your support, and we're always grateful for your support. Let's get to our very special guest, Aaron Laborco, all the way from Israel, a reporter in Israel, who is no stranger to our audience here. Aaron, it's been a long 4 days and long 4 nights. How you holding up?
Well, it's the excitement that is actually getting me through this, because it's unbelievable what's happening. I mean, we are seeing history unfolding we are seeing a regime that has been untouchable, crumbling, and we know it's going to happen because it's just the force, the damage that we've done in these last 4 days. And Donald Trump keeps saying we haven't even started yet. So there's the excitement. And for me, I see videos of Iranians all around the world, in Melbourne, in London, wherever they are, and they're celebrating. And it's so nice to see them. And they're also holding Israeli flags. It's like, you know, it's such a change for us. People like us. People, you know, think that we're doing something good instead of always being the bad guy. So, and you know, the other thing, and I was talking about this with Sharham earlier, I can imagine 47 years, Ani, of pain, of suffering, of being suppressed. What kind of emotions are coming out of the Iranian people right now? I'm sure it's more than just happiness and joy. It must be such a cathartic time. So, you know, pain, anger, who knows what, but it's just an unparalleled historical event that we're seeing.
It is. And on my today show, earlier today on my own show, I actually mentioned that genuinely, regardless of what tomorrow brings, or day after, or year after today, the events from Saturday, February 28th until today, highlight of it, Khamenei killed, it's history. It doesn't even matter what happens tomorrow. In my head, and when I say majority of Iranians, in our mind and in our heart, we finally experience historic moments we've been praying for, we've been fighting for, with actual tear and blood. We felt that moment. That day, I don't know if I said it on air or not, but Aaron, myself, it took me a minute, and I don't mean an exact minute, a minute in a phrase, to even believe it, because to me, an undying man died. He was this big monster that would never die. I created this scenario of free Iran so many times. I have pictured me landing at an airport in Tehran millions of times. Never did I even imagine his death in any of those cases, because this monster will never die. As you said, the untouchable, undying man died. So agreed. It's been exhausting, lack of sleep, everybody, you know, all emotions, but celebration and gratitude. I have talked to so many Iranians, inside or outside, who are constantly just saying, I am grateful. Thank you. The thank you is never ending. They're experiencing hardship as well, though. You know, there are bombs coming down and they don't mind. Like, I've seen videos of Iranians. It's like, come on, hit the next one, drop the next bomb, hit it. They're cheering for the next bomb or drone or missile to drop. Like, again, videos show, you know, buildings are collapsing, not their building, but, you know, as you know, the IRGC built all of their buildings inside the resident area. But they don't care, they don't mind, they haven't lost the spirit and the celebration, that they're just counting moments. I talked to someone directly from my area where I grew up, Karaj, which got hit pretty heavily last night, our time, including their airport. And he was saying, of course, thankfully they're all okay, but he said, we get the notification of evacuate, we evacuate because we know for a fact they're coming, which is the credibility, you know, as you said, except myself and majority of Iranians, as you know, we have always loved our Jewish brothers and sisters, but everybody's like, you know, Israel is committing genocide all the time. Apparently, even when you're not doing anything, you're committing genocide. But Iranians are literally counting on the information. Israeli IDF released 5 alerts today on different areas, evacuate, and people would take it serious enough to evacuate because they knew this is the target. Now, I want to talk about this, though, Aaron. This is fantastic because my people get the chance to evacuate and be safe. But then the members who are being targeted also get that message. So this great idea seemed to also be a bad idea. Does my question make sense? Like, how does this work into the targeting program of IDF?
I'm not sure if I totally understand the question. Meaning, so we're liberating Iran, but at the same time we're targeting targets. That's what the question?
No, what I'm saying is you're informing Iranian civilians to get away because bombs coming, but then at the same time the targeted people get the same notification, so they run too.
Yes, I understand. So my understanding of that, Ani, is that we're not actually, the top leaders, we're not warning people that we're going to go and we're not warning people in those areas get out. The top leaders, we've got unbelievable intelligence, and so that's one thing. But the other thing is when we are going for targets and we tell people to get out, even if it's the bad people, that's part of that's not our main priority. Our main priority is the target, and usually the targets are military or nuclear or communications. It's called the infrastructure. That is what we and the Americans are aiming for. When we pull down the infrastructure, then that's, the people, they've got nothing to work with. They've got, it's like almost like a skeleton without any meat or flesh. So that is the understanding. We don't have enough missiles to take out every single person who we know is with the IRGC, but first we're going for the infrastructure, and that's what I think. And I think it's a good thing that we're telling people to get out, even if it means that, the baddies get out as well. Once the main infrastructures are destroyed, then, you probably know the term a toothless tiger. I think that's what we're going to see. We're going to see a lot of these people. They're not going to have any leaders. They're not going to have any officers. They're not going to have any communications. They're not going to have any installations. Already, I'm reading, we have taken out, on the western side of Iran, we've taken out 50% of the missiles from there. Apparently, there are yesterday, there were 20,000 targets still to hit. And based on the last 3 days, the coalition have been hitting 1,000 targets every day. So if you do your math, that's about 3 weeks of hard work. And Donald Trump has said about 2 or 3 times, we haven't even started. Now, and then he says, we're ahead of schedule. So the fact that he says, there's a schedule, that means that there's a plan. They've got it all planned out. Ani, I've been reading and listening. This has been planned for years. We haven't had the opportunity, and of all the opportunities to arise, it happens on Purim, the feast of the death of Haman, this wicked man, and that is another thing. Through the tiredness and the lack of sleep and getting woken up by alarms, just knowing that this is the time of the year. You said talking about being grateful. That's a big part of Purim. Where we and you also said what you're living right now. You've gone over in your mind over and over. You've dreamed about visiting Iran. So that's the idea of celebrating these Jewish feasts. When we come to these feasts of the Lord, we celebrate them as if they are happening right now. When we For example, when we celebrate Passover, we sit there as if we're in Egypt and we're about to depart. So when we celebrate the turnaround, this wicked man Haman, who all because one Jew, Mordecai, wouldn't bow down to him, every Jew had to pay with their life. How wicked, how horrible is that? And yet, and what looked like the impossible actually happened. It turned around. Haman got killed, but that wasn't the end. You know, there was still that edict that everyone was going to kill every Jew. So you said earlier, you said we're tired, but we haven't lost the spirit. That, to me, is crucial with what's going on. We in Israel, we're tired. We have spirit. You know, and like you said, there are still bombs being dropped in Iran, but the people, they've got the wind in their sails now. They can smell freedom. It's on the way. And this is what incredible times that we're living in, and victory is around the corner, and it's going to happen, and it's just so exciting, and it's historical. We're living through it. We're going to look back in however long it's going to take, a month, 2, 3, and what incredible, exciting days to live in.
Yes, and I was working this morning or early afternoon producing a show, and the host, no disrespect to the host, but we all have our own opinion, but she started the show with the president who promised ending all the never ending is now getting involved with another never ending. Like, this was the narrative she was pushing. And I was just, I'm a professional. When I produce, I keep my opinions to myself, but I was sitting there thinking of, how can you think this is a never-ending war? Have you been paying attention to the Iranian people? Have you noticed for 47 years they've been pushing back? Have you noticed for last 60 days before the first bomb dropped on Friday night here, for 60 days, over 50,000 of them were killed to try to take this country back? The never-ending war is when the population is against the military that's coming in. At the moment, every bomb dropping, Iranians inside Iran are filming it. 90% of footages we're playing tonight, Aaron, are sent from citizens. These aren't professional reporters. Majority of videos I have is sent directly from their phones. People are filming, and if you hear, we could hear them if we wanted to, but translation would be needed. You hear them with a happy voice, cheerful voice saying, yay, thank you, hit the next one. It's like they're watching a movie. They're watching their favorite. Actually, Thomas, can we for a few seconds just give it audio? Let's play a few of them. I know the words may not make sense, but the tonality, if you can find any of them with the actual person voice, let's play some of those so our audience know I'm not just saying that because I'm biased, which, by the way, Aaron, I am absolutely biased right now. I am super, just a thought of a free Iran, a much more in peace Israel, where I can go home, have a kebab, and then get on a plane and come to Tel Aviv and visit Israel. What's not to be biased, right?
Honey, do you know some people criticize me when we defeat our enemies and we assassinate or we eliminate a terrorist and we celebrate them, and people say, well, you're believers. You shouldn't be celebrating. And you know what I say? I say the opposite. When Miriam and the Israelites came out of through the Red Sea, they sang. The horse and the rider has been drowned into the sea. The girls sang, Saul has killed his thousands. David has killed his tens of thousands. They celebrated. So this is a time to celebrate and let our emotions out. Like I said before, the suffering, the pain, the oppression that you guys have been under, even living overseas, knowing what has been happening to your people. And, it reminds me in Psalm 137, it says, when the Lord brought back the captives to Zion, We were like men that dreamed. Our mouths were filled with joy, our tongues with laughter. And it's the sense of the longing, the yearning, and now it's not a dream anymore. It's a reality. And so these people that think it's not going to happen, or who think it's just going to go on and on and on, well, they obviously don't understand the might and the power and the force of the United States military, along with the Israeli military. And obviously this has been so well planned. I mean, I look to the Lord first, but I don't care what people think. Donald Trump, that man is unbelievable. What he's done, what he did first with Venezuela, and then what he's done now, he's delivered. He's delivered for the people. He's set the Venezuela free. And now he's doing it. He said he'd help the Iranian people. There was a delay, and that was very frustrating. But it's all coming out now. He had it all planned with Bibi. They had to get all the ships over. They had to get all the aircraft over. It takes time. He is delivering, and he is not going to stop. I can guarantee. So it's happening, and we should be rejoicing. We should be happy, and we should be crying. I've been crying when I see a lot of these Iranians all around the world singing and dancing. It really brings tears to my eyes, because you can tell it's genuine joy. They know that this is not normal joy in celebrations. This is something. It's almost supernatural, if you ask me.
I agree. Let me push back, not necessarily push back, but let me bring another side of this. I understand what you're saying about President Trump, but my biggest thing has been I put more of my gratitude towards Bibi. And let me tell you why. I'm not saying Trump is not playing a role here, and I'm very grateful for his role, but let's go back to last year. We both know the years of planning comes from IDF. Mossad, Israeli intelligence. We both know that Mossad agents inside Iran are risking their life every minute to gather this intelligence, to learn the back alleys, the front alleys. And though this is a speculation, Marco Rubio spit something out that seemed like Israel forced us to get involved. Trump says we forced Israel to get involved. But regardless, if it wasn't for Bibi to surprise and shake the entire world in June of 25 during the absolute surprise of 12 days war, today we wouldn't be where we are. So though I'm very grateful that President Trump at least did remove the handcuffs from Bibi and send the backup to help, I think historically this all came down to this moment because Bibi Netanyahu went against all odds and proved to the world that this untouchable regime is not as untouchable as you all think. That's my personal feedback as an Iranian, as an American, as someone, with blood ties to Jewish land.
And Ani, God, no way am I going to argue with that. Absolutely. And you know what? As I've been pondering the whole story of Esther, I've been asking myself, who is the Mordecai here? Is it Trump? Is it Bibi? And in some ways, both of them. But I actually agree with you. Bibi, he stepped up. He didn't bow down. He didn't bow down to the intimidation and the threats. And that's the story of Mordecai. He wouldn't bow down. So I agree with you.
Yes, and that's the thing. On a professional level, personal level, and journalism level, I have tried my best in the last 4 days to repeat this. But nothing against, American media is known for it anyways. Nothing against our media or even President Trump necessarily. But I feel like the credit, instead of being at least a split, it's shifted toward one side versus both sides. And again, I'm all about history needs to record properly. And again, this is a joint operation, no argument there. They're all playing their role. I was very proud of our guys, American military, on Saturday. The flawless hit of the 3 targets they had. Like, I watched it. I was like, bam, 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 back. It was flawless. My heart breaks for all of the IDF soldiers and American soldiers who already lost their life. But bottom line is, the reason I keep bringing Bibi back is we need to learn, as human society, we need to learn. It takes an enormous amount of courage to stand up to the biggest bully in the world and not do it for credit, not do it for the cheers, not do it for the pictures, but do it because you're trying to teach the world that there has to be a line drawn on the sand. This is it. Today or yesterday, I was listening to Bibi addressing us Iranians. And when he said, I tell you that the day of your freedom is closer than you think, I believed him, Aaron. I believed him. Like, the words went right through my entire soul of, I believe you. Or today when he said, we're not slowing down. Yes, President Trump also said the major attacks haven't even come. I believe him. Like, yes, he's not going to give up. I don't think even for any reason, if President Trump would go for a ceasefire, I don't think this time Bibi is going to do it. And I want this to be said on the record, especially with all the hatred toward Jews, all the anti-Semitism, all the ridiculous charade of international criminal courts against Bibi. I want to make sure people pay attention. All due respect to President Trump and everything he's achieved, this is the moment to show the world that the monster you have made out of Bibi is a myth. The reality of this man is, though I disagree with him on 80% of his policy, but when it comes down to the moment of making history, he was the one to stand up and the rest followed. For first time, I would say probably it's hard for Americans to admit, but we followed Israel. And that needs to be registered by people.
And, you know, that is not hard to, that is very hard for a leader in Bibi's position. Not only has he been plagued by these people that want to take him to court and put, ruin his career, but he's got the whole of October the 7th hanging on his shoulders. Let's not forget that. And,
yes.
And a lot of the mistakes and a lot of the things that happened, whether he's directly responsible or not, he was the officer, he was the chief in command on October the 7th. So ultimately, he's responsible for it. And that hasn't been addressed yet. We're still in the war. That's still being talked about. After the war, this will be addressed. In a way, and I really believe, that he's God's man for the hour, that in a way, what he has been doing in this war, it's almost like the word penitence comes out. It's like he's showing his true colors that, yeah, he might have been deceived, making wrong decisions in the past, allowing our borders to be weakened on his watch, but he stepped up. He's admitted he's made mistakes, and he says we're not going to deal with that now. We're going to deal with that after the war. But in the meantime, instead of capitulating, instead of making excuses, he's been focused. Definitely, Donald Trump has saved his political career, I think, a few times. He's supplied weapons, backed up Bibi. He's definitely helped Bibi's political career. But at the end of the day, Bibi is his own man. And I really agree with you that he's been incredibly brave. And like you said, it's the Israeli military intelligence and the Mossad. In fact, I read today, I don't know if you've read it, Ani, the report how they actually took out Khomeini. Did you read the story?
Yes, I did. Go ahead.
Basically for the people listening, that the Mossad infiltrated the communication systems in the heart of Tehran, especially traffic lights, where most of the bodyguards and security of the supreme leader would go through on a regular basis. And so they somehow were able, through the traffic lights, to see the movement of the security and all of his bodyguards. And so they studied their movements and their timing, and then they mastered it down. In fact, it got so good that they were, one of them said, we know Tehran as well as we know Jerusalem, meaning we know everything. And sure enough, when the day came, which was on a Shabbat, on a Sabbath, which was an unlikely day, and it was in the morning, which was an unlikely time, boom, they did it. And it was a masterful plan through infiltration. And so, yeah, you're right. And no doubt, Bibi, he's been the prime minister over 25 years. No doubt he knows all about that. So absolutely give credit to where credit is due.
Agreed. Absolutely. So we're going to wrap up the segment with you here in a moment or two, but I want to cover an update that I'm sure you have more update on it than I do. I was watching videos this really early morning today, and I think Hezbollah immediately regretted getting involved. They are getting hit hard in Lebanon. First of all, I know confirmed that 2 of the Quds forces who were literally in charge of making Hezbollah run, they were taken out first. Boom. The first hit, they were taken out. And then I was watching videos of, I don't even know what is left of Hezbollah, but what are you hearing there on the ground? And do you think this is, I feel like Hezbollah might back down based on just the first 24 hours, less than 24 hours of what they faced from Israel.
I read one article, Annie, that said, the headline was saying Hezbollah are involved even against their own will. That somehow that there was a pressure on them to put up a different front than Iran, to stretch the Israeli military. Not that they wanted to get involved, but there were certain pressures for them to get involved. Be that as it may, whether that's true or not, listen, I'm kind of double-minded on it, because we called up 100,000 reservists, and to do that means that there's something serious. We need a lot of troops. We need a lot of personnel. And for that, and if that's true, that means our enemies are a force. We know that they've got tens and tens of thousands of missiles. We know their numbers. They've got about 50,000 soldiers, and then you've got what are called the Radwan forces. So they've got numbers. But once again, and it begins in the air. We have total supremacy over Iran. We're getting total supremacy in the air over Lebanon. But, and this is where I'm concerned, our defense minister today called 100 villages from South Lebanon to get out, to clear out. Why? Because we are on the verge of a ground operation. And no one wants. Yeah, no one wants that, Ani. We don't want to. We had that in the 1982 First Lebanon War. No one wants that. That's costly. That's costly on our soldiers. Now, the South Lebanese army, not Hezbollah, but the South Lebanese army, they're moving out. And I hope, in fact, I read a couple of reports that they are taking out Hezbollah operatives as well. And if we can cooperate and work with the South Lebanese army, I think that could be a game changer. Also, just like in Iran, we have military intelligence inside of Lebanon. So for me, it's a little bit early to gauge whether, what side is it tilting on? Is it tilting against us? Is it tilting for us? We've had a lot of missiles from Lebanon, from Hezbollah, that have been fired on us up in the north. Mass amount of missiles. So as I say, it's a little bit early, but I'm confident. I'm confident that when we did the Pages mission over a year ago, we took out their, Nasrallah. We took out a lot of their leaders. And yes, they've been resupplied by Iran, or rather the IRGC. Apologies.
But that's the thing. Aaron, the two guys they took out, who are the Iranian Quds forces, both of them were basically in charge of transferring weapons. They're out, meaning there's a very good chance that Hezbollah is going to have to realign its use of missiles. It's not that it admits of what's going on. Remember, 12,000 Hezbollah soldiers were transferred into Iran to do the crackdown. So they're already 12,000 men short. They're in Iran. They're not in Lebanon. Also, their supply through the two Quds forces members just cut off today. So that's where I say there's a good chance. They might have to step down or slow down based on just those two facts. And you're telling me now they're also going to have to face both Lebanese military and IDF at the same time.
Correct. Now, here's something that I read, I think it was about 3 hours ago. El-Shahar, Jolani, the leader in Syria, Syrian forces are moving across towards Lebanon. What does that mean, Ani? Does that mean that they are going to also get involved? That's all the article said. Syrian forces are moving towards Lebanon. And I don't know, maybe they're going to try to also get involved. Now, let's remember, Jolani, a big sponsor are the Turkey. They are right behind Jolani, number one. Number two, that over the last number of months, the Syrians have been fighting against the Kurds. And the Kurds had thousands and thousands of ISIS prisoners in their prisons, and Jolani set them all free. Thousands of ISIS soldiers. And we know the nature of the ISIS soldiers. So we need to, we'll have to see how this plays itself out. But it's a little bit early for me to really know where it's tilting. But I have full confidence in our military. But as I said, to call up 100,000 soldiers, reservists, I mean, that's pretty serious. So obviously our intelligence and our officers know more than we know. And on top of that, in the same way that we discovered hundreds of miles of underground tunnels in Gaza, we know for a fact that Hezbollah had been building underground tunnels in Lebanon. And we don't know how many, how extensive. That is something that we may have to go in and occupy and then dig under and try to find out, which is what we did in the Gaza Strip. So there's a lot to be discovered and uncovered still to come.
Absolutely, and of course I'm going to keep bugging you. I know I keep asking you, can you join me? Can you join me short notice? But we're going to keep. I know we're going to get all of our updates on the ground from Israel from you. And let me see if I can get this correct. Light to the nations ministry.com.
Wow.
Did I get that right?
Yes. Well done. Yeah, you got it.
Okay. Appreciate you, Aaron. Please keep on staying safe. Keep us posted, and we'll have you back, of course, either on my show or Brandon's show for more updates. Appreciate you being here.
Anytime, honey. God bless you. Thanks.
Absolutely. Guys, remember, Brandon does send love offering to Aaron regularly. And the way you can support what Brandon is doing and for Brandon to be able to bring Aaron on literally on short notice on Saturday, Sunday, and today, I think I gave him maybe 2-hour notice to join, normally very late night Israel time. So you can help that process by going to wvwfoundation.com. That's wvwfoundation.com. Make it tax-deductible donation so we can continue supporting Aaron while he helps us get better reporting from Israel. Okay, joining me now is the man, the myth, the one and only Trevor Loudon. I have so many questions, Trevor. Welcome to the program.
Hey, great to see. Thanks so much, Andy. Great to see you.
Of course. I have not talked to you since Saturday morning. So first question is, where are you at with what is going on? What is happening? You with it? You're not with it? You have concerns? Let's start there.
Yeah, I'm totally with it. Totally with it. But, you know, like, yeah, I just might want to make sure this is followed through. The goal here must be regime change. Anything short of that is a waste. So the Iranian people are ready to rise up. We already see that happening. They're all over the world. They're dancing in the streets about this. The Israelis and Trump must just carry on until the mullahs are gone. End of story. They can never come back. So, yeah, 100% thumbs up so far.
Perfect. I love to hear that. So let me start from here in America before we head over. And I can't think of anyone who might have a better explanation. About 90% of Iranians inside, outside of Iran celebrating, including myself, beyond experience when Khamenei is killed. A lot of people, just average people of the West, also happy, at least for Iranians. But then we have our favorite people in America, like Mamdani and Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib, who seem to be very bothered by what's happening. What would be because of that?
Because their little communist allies are being given a hard time. Look, all of those people you mentioned, they're part of what we call the red-green axis. They are Muslim, but really they're communists. And so they see Iran as their ally, as an enforcer in the Middle East, as the main enemy of Israel, their deadly enemy. You know, these people all hate Israel and the United States with a passion. And Iran is an enemy of both Israel and the United States. So they're not very happy at all. Just like, you know, a lot of the American communists are not very happy that Maduro was taken out, or that there's huge pressure on Cuba right now. Absolutely, they're upset because these people support our enemies, and our enemy has been taken apart right now by the Israelis and the United States under the direction of President Trump. And so, yeah, I can see why they're a little upset. And the more they cry, the more tears they cry, the happier I will be.
I share that moment with you. Yes, I admittedly said that I was watching some of the videos of the pro-Khamenei people who were actually shedding tears as they were making the report on air, and I felt very bad, but I was sitting there giggling, like, for 47 years, you did this to us, and now you get a taste of your own medicine, right?
This is what the Germans call Schadenfreude, you know, the taking pleasure in the pain of others. Well, unashamedly, I experienced a lot of Schadenfreude over the last couple of days, watching these little worms squirm as their leader is annihilated, and watching both the American leftists and some sections of the American right who are also upset about this. I am very much enjoying watching them squirm.
Yes, it is. It is enjoyable. But since you said what you said, I 100% agree with you. This time around, no more ceasefire, no more negotiation, no more let's talk about it. It needs to be completed. It needs to be followed through, and definitely a regime change. But I have a bit of a concern. And we're going to play the clip in a second. President Trump did a news conference in the Oval Office today. It was about 30-some minutes, but there was a minute of it that got my attention and a little concern. I want to play this clip and have your take on it, just in case if I'm misreading into his answer. Let's listen to his answer to a question from a reporter asking, have you given any thoughts to crown Reza Pahlavi as possible leader of Iran?
Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi, is he an option at all in your mind?
I guess he is. Some people like him, and we haven't been thinking about too much about that. It would seem to me that somebody from within maybe would be more appropriate. I've said that. He looks like a very nice person, but it would seem to me that somebody that's there, that's currently popular, if there's such a person. But we have people like that. We have people that were more moderate. You know, these were radical lunatics, and you know what they get? They get nothing. All they do is kill people.
Did he just say someone more moderate? Well, how do you tell? What? Let me not put my.
Yeah, look, I think he's. I think that's okay. I don't think he wants to see leadership from, more moderate leadership from the current regime. But I think, an opposition candidate, someone who can unite the people on the ground, who has a history, has never been part of the regime. Just like after when they denazified Germany, they got leaders from Germany who hadn't been part of the Nazi war machine, who were widely respected and brought the country forward. So, I'm not too concerned about that statement, but I can see how it could be interpreted many ways, some of which are not too comfortable.
Well, but that's the thing. When I think about it, inside Iran, we don't have anyone except one figure, which is Mousavi, the guy behind the Green Movement of 2009, who has been part of the regime. That's about it. Inside Iran, we don't have anyone that at least has the potential. And that's why I guess I was concerned, wait, are we going to lean towards that? And again, his strong pushback against Crown Prince Pahlavi also concerns me. Because I don't think anybody right now can deny that Iranian people have spoken as to their choice.
Well, you would know more about this than me, Annie. How much support within the country would Pahlavi have? Like
about 85%.
Yeah, seriously. Well, that's news to me. Okay. Well, if that's the case, then see what the Trump just did this with Venezuela. He got rid of Maduro, but left the VP in place. But she's been put on notice. She's got to do what she's told. So I didn't think Pahlavi would have had that much support, to be honest. I thought it would have been more like 30 or 40%, something like that. If indeed there is good evidence that he could have that much support, well, then I would say yes, you should back Pahlavi.
I know. Well, we'll pray. And again, I have learned in 4 days to just go with the day. Of course, the celebration is there regardless of what comes tomorrow, but I'm going to patiently wait, but also pray that President Trump looks into this, especially because Netanyahu has already endorsed Crown Pahlavi. So I would think, at least just a meeting would be...
Okay. Well, and that I wasn't aware of that either. I know who Pahlavi is. I don't know much more about it other than he's the son of the former Shah. And look, yeah, okay, I can see the logic in that. As a figure, a family, the peacock throne. I can see why that might be a good unifying force rather than somebody who's been compromised by the regime.
Definitely, with no ties whatsoever. So let's go now. Let's move forward with Trump decision. Of course, what I hear a lot, not just from the left, but from the right media, is what Trump did was unconstitutional. Was it, Trevor?
Look, he has powers under the War Powers. The War Powers Act gives the president the right to intervene militarily in areas of concern to the United States. And there's absolutely no doubt that Iran, which sells this country drugs, has assassinated people, has hit teams wandering around the country, has killed thousands, helped to kill thousands of American soldiers, and continually threatens to destroy this country. There's no doubt there's major security concerns there. So he has every right to do it. He has to notify Congress, which he's done. They have to review, go back to Congress in 60 days, and then explain the actions and whatever. So no, it's acted completely constitutionally as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, so what are the chances that they're gonna, well, before I ask that, do you think this is gonna affect the main question, is this war with Iran, which I don't actually agree. I don't phrase it as we're at war with Iran. I phrase it as we are backing the Israel war with Iran, because there's a difference.
Yeah, I think that's legitimate. Yeah.
Right. That was my first argument when people are like, this is unconstitutional. I'm like, we didn't go to war with Iran. We have certain military agreement with our allies, including Israel. And one of the agreements is if there's a conflict and they need our support, we support. That's all we're doing. For the first day, we didn't even go in. We were hands off. When they needed us, we went in. And after Iran started hitting our base in Bahrain, then from there, it's retaliation. It's not an attack anymore. Like, that's, at least to my little tiny knowledge, that's how I would justify it towards the unconstitutional.
Yeah, I don't even think you need to go that far. The president has a right to order military action when appropriate in defense of this country or our allies. That is in the War Powers Act. And good for him. You know, that some people may say, well, that wasn't in the Constitution. Well, maybe it wasn't, but you know, there was a different time then, and laws have been passed since that time giving the president certain powers. And I agree with that because, you know, we're dealing in a world where guerrilla warfare, where terrorism are the norm, where, you know, you're not dealing with standing armies marching across borders so much. You know, America hasn't faced that very often. You know, we were mainly dealing with terrorists, with, you know, bombers and all this kind of thing, and ISIS and transnational terrorist groups, etc. So that kind of power is very, very necessary. And it was used by Obama. You know, it was used by Obama. It's been used by many presidents. And I think it's perfectly within the realms of law, and I believe the Constitution too.
Yes, and how do you think the campaign they have already started against this move, do you think it's going to have any effect on the midterm?
You do the campaign that the left has started?
Yes.
No, I don't actually. I think the American public. Well, it depends how this goes. If it goes well, and the Iranian regime is toppled, and we see more stability in the Middle East, and we see, you know, Israel in a better position, I think it's going to help President Trump tremendously. And that's why he's got to go forward and finish the job. He cannot do it half, you know, he can't go halfway. Look, imagine if you fought in World War II and you landed in Normandy, you charged across Europe, you lost hundreds of thousands of men, and you got to the borders of Germany and said, okay, Mr. Hitler, we're not going any further. You just don't do this again. You know, once you start a job like this, you got to finish it. And if President Trump finishes it and does the job, I think it'll be a great electoral boon for him. But if he only goes halfway, I think it'll turn into a disaster.
Agreed. And where is China in all of this?
China doesn't seem to want to be very involved in this. China has been backing off their little friend Putin, and because the Ukraine war's not going very well for Putin, and China doesn't seem very happy, want to get involved in this one either. And China hasn't done very much about the Venezuela either. China has got its own problems to deal with right now. They're all good when they can bluff people and scare people, but when they get called, they seem to be a little bit of a paper tiger right now. So I don't think China's going to intervene in this.
So the entire concern, which by the way is, I've been one of the people who have always said, don't worry about it, go after Iran, neither Russia or China are going to come to rescue you. But I was always overwritten by, oh, you don't understand the alliance they have. I guess I did, because Russia isn't coming in to rescue either, from what I understand.
No, well, this is, the Ukraine war, the Ukraine war has really damaged Russia and caused divisions between Russia and China, because it was supposed to be over really quickly. Then China would attack Taiwan, and Iran would have attacked Israel, and we would have had World War III, and we probably would have lost it. But, the Ukraine stopped that. And so Russia's bleeding. China is mobilizing, demobilizing. China is has got massive economic problems right now. And they're not rushing in to protect Iran. They didn't rush in to protect Assad in Syria. They didn't rush in to protect Venezuela. So Trump is calling their bluff. And every country, all their friends around the world must be looking at this and saying, gee, I thought you Russians were tough guys. I thought you Chinese were going to make a stand. Maybe we should reconsider who we're working with here. So I think this is the potential to completely reorder the world power structure in a pro-freedom direction, I think. But, as I say, Annie, Trump stopped when Israel was on the verge of annihilating Hamas. Trump called them off. When the bombing of the 12-day war, Trump called them off. So he better not do it again. He better follow through on this. If he does, it'll be fantastic.
Let me follow up on that. I keep thinking, and I can't find a single political reason or a policy move that would make Trump stop this. Can you?
I can't think of any sensible one, but, he has a lot of people around him who are appeasers. See, there's a war going on inside the Trump administration between the J.D. Vance, Tucker Carlson, Steve Bannon aligned people, the pro-Russia people, basically, and the more realistic people, the Marco Rubios, etc. at state. And it's and Tulsi Gabbard is in the bad camp too. And it's been very interesting in both the Maduro operation and in this operation, J.D. Vance and Tulsi Gabbard were not part of it. And both of them should have been there. Both of them were sidelined. So you see, it appears, at least for now, that the more realistic, the more sort of Reagan foreign policy, Marco Rubio foreign policy is winning, and the Vance, Tulsi Gabbard, Steve Bannon, Tucker Carlson foreign policy cabal, they seem to be losing, and they are not happy, I can tell you that. So, I think if sanity prevails, there is no reason why Trump should stop this. But you always worry there's some people around Trump that are pretty dodgy, pretty suspect. But right now, I'm 98% sure that Trump's going to follow through on this. But you always just,
Yes, and here's the thing. I'm going to expand this from, if Trump does follow through, it's going to be a major help for the midterm, which has been a concern for many. And then also, I do believe, and I want to know what do you think, but if Trump does go through, by 2028, Americans have tangibly witnessed the difference of the new government in Iran, the lack of chaos and the military back home, all that. Do you think that is where Marco will absolutely beat J.D. Vance?
Oh, absolutely. I think J.D. Vance has got very little chance now of becoming, of being nominated. I think Trump is making very clear he wants it to go to Marco. And see, this is the thing. If he carries forward with this, look at the Democrats and how they've completely embarrassed themselves over this. They're basically defending Iran. And they're seeing people on the streets in Vancouver and Toronto and San Francisco, Iranians and their supporters dancing, doing the Trump shuffle, you know, all over the world. And here's the Democrats. Oh, you shouldn't be doing this. You know, if Trump gets a victory here, he's got every incentive to get a victory here, because that'll set him up beautifully for midterms, and it'll set up Marco Rubio beautifully for the presidential election in 2028. So I think he's got every incentive to go forward and little to no incentive for backing off now.
Agreed. Absolutely agreed. Before we let you go, as Brannon would say, in conclusion, with the war with Iran and all of that, how do you think, if in any shape or form, how do you think this could affect the progress of Trump's Board of Peace?
Yeah, that's something. It would help it, but I'm not a big fan of the Board of Peace, I would say, you know. So I don't know. It might help it to put together, but as long as they kick the Russians and the Chinese off it, that might be good. Look, what I want to see is President Trump to start an alliance of free nations, to build an alliance of free nations against the evil empire. So I don't want Russia or China involved in it, but a free Iran might be a great part of that.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely not a fan of this Board of Peace. I've been covering it on my Substack. I have too many issues with it, to be honest. But one thing I do know is Crown Prince Pahlavi has sent a letter, not today, January of 25, to President Trump, approaching him for a potential Cyrus Accord in Middle East rather than Board of Peace and Abraham Accord, just a Cyrus Accord. But I do know that Russia and China, yes, but then even the Gulf countries that are part of this, and this is where I'm like, the only thing I can think of that President Trump would stop is if there's pressure coming from some of the seats of the Board of Peace. If he feels like that Board of Peace is jeopardized or in possibility of, destabilizing itself, he might stop what he's doing with Iran. And as of right now, even though Qatar is pretty upset for Iran attacking Qatar, same thing with Oman, but they're still trying to pressure for ceasefire. So is Erdogan of Turkey, the other seat at the table.
Yeah, well, look, I don't want them at the seat of any table, to be quite honest.
Agreed.
Look, a Cyrus Accord I'd be very happy with. An alliance between free Iran and Israel and the United States. I'd be. That's all good. Then you bring Taiwan into it, you bring Ukraine into it, you bring Argentina, Italy, many other countries could be part of this, and so I think that's the better way to go than this sort of a regional alliance involving a whole bunch of Muslim nations who are basically trying to destroy us in their own way. Like Qatar. Why would you want to be dealing with Qatar at all? How do you trust them in any way, shape, or form? Well, why is it allowed to have any influence at all in America and fund, subversion in our universities and buy off our so-called conservative influences? Why is that allowed to happen?
I know. I do sometimes look at the map of Middle East and Asia, especially Central Asia, and I'm like, who even is, what are these tiny countries doing on the map? Why did you do this? But then, of course, we know the story behind pen that used to draw all these borders known as the Western Empire, especially thanks to UK. But I do hope that President Trump continues and doesn't stop Bibi from doing what he's doing, so we can see a free Iran, of course, on a personal level, for me to get a chance to head home for visitation, and then also for Middle East and even America to have way more stability in all fronts, especially the terrorism. Go ahead.
Yeah, look, wouldn't if you had two key allies, if we had two key allies in the Middle East, you know, under the Shah, you know, they were very strong American allies, and we needed the Shah because, you know, Russia was trying to threaten the Middle East. The Shah, the Iran was a very good stabilizing force. Well, we lost that mainly because of Jimmy Carter and the traitors in the State Department who allowed the Iranian communists and the Soviets and the Islamists to take over. Yeah, look, I can see, you know, Iran is really a Western country more than anything, you know, in many ways. You know, the values, it's a very highly cultured, very highly educated country, deep history. Islam was forced on Iran, you know, wasn't willingly accepted, that's for sure. And I think, you know, most Iranians would rather be oriented to the West than to their little Sunni friends and neighbors.
Absolutely, 100%. Before we let you go, any thoughts on something I might have missed to ask before we let you go?
No, I can't think of anything, Annie. I just think the final thought I'd say, every American, if President Trump carries forward, he's going to expose the Democrats for the tyrannical supporters they are, and the fake right, the false right, the woke right, for being actual supporters of Russia and Iran, which they clearly are. So that's all to the good for the real American conservatives, and it's all to the good for the people of Israel and Iran and everybody else who loves freedom. So 3 cheers, President Trump.
Absolutely. Appreciate you, Trevor. Where do people go to find you and grab a copy of all of your books, because they are brilliantly written?
Well, thank you, Annie. And you've got one coming out too, which I've got to say is also very brilliantly written. Yeah.
It's already out.
Okay. Well, yeah, I know. Okay. But it is very, very well written, Annie. I was very, very impressed. Very simple, very informative, very straightforward. So, people can go to me, trevorloudon.com. I've got lots of books there at my store on my website. But, I do commend your book, Annie. I've written a blurb for it, and I was very happy to do so.
I appreciate that. Yes, I was very happy when you agreed generously to put the time into reading the advanced copy, and I appreciate the blurb, and I will be sending you your copy here in next week.
Thank you. Look forward to it.
Absolutely.
So
Thank you so much, Trevor. Okay, trevorloudon.com. I kid you not. I was very, very honored when he wrote back after I sent him the preprint manuscript, and when I heard his feedback, it was such a honor, because again, on WorldView, especially on Brown House Live, you're all very familiar with Trevor Loudon and his excellent work, his excellent books. And again, it was like when I had the opportunity to sit in for Brandon tonight, I'm like, Trevor has to be there, because I haven't had the chance to talk to Trevor and his thoughts. And you just heard all of his thoughts, which I pretty much agree to. Most of them. So trevorloudon.com is where you can get his book, read his work, and support him. Okay, we gotta go to our next guest. Joining me now is Mohammed Faridi, my fellow Iranian American, also my brother in Christ, with a very, very amazing story that we're not going to necessarily go into too much depth of his story. And I'm not sure how familiar Brandon's audience are with Mohammed, but I wanted to have him on to discuss Iran. We're going to zoom in now. Mohammed Jan, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me, Annie. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. Praise Lord. How are you feeling?
Oh my goodness. It's been the sense of relief for sure since I believe it was Friday early in the morning, Saturday. So it's been a lot of ups and downs, but it has been very, very good.
It has been, yes. It has been undescribable, I would say, almost. Most of the time, my face does most of the expressing the feelings. But on Saturday, I had Dr. Kangarloo on, and then we had Sharam Hadian on, we had Hedi Amir Ahmedi on. And of course, yesterday I was like, okay, we have to have Muhammad on because the more...
All the troublemakers.
Right. All the rebels. I'm thinking one of these days I might just get Brandon's blessing and just have all of us on a round table. We're like, let's create let's hurt some feelings. But let's start here because, as you know, the left and also part of the conservative media, they are around the clock trying to say this was a terrible event and Iranians are so upset about it. So let's start with what you're hearing, because I know you hear from inside Iran and fellow Iranians outside. What are you hearing as far as specifically the death of the Zahak of our time, Khamenei?
Sure. Well, we have a weekly Sunday evening church that many of the Iranian believers, many families from Iran connect. Sometimes up to 300 accounts, that if you add that up, it's a whole lot of people that are sitting and worshiping Jesus from Iran. They connect to our Zoom account. And last week, not this past Sunday, the Sunday before, we were comforting the Iranian believers. Many of them, they have loved ones who were brutalized, who lost family members. They have family members in prison and all that. It was such a sense of grief, such a sense of sorrow all over this nation of Iran. And we were, as ministers, as pastors, we were trying to comfort them, pray with them. Even though we are not there, all of my family is there. We have the family of God that are in Iran. And it was a heavy robe of sorrow last week during our service. But lo and behold, this past Sunday, even though the internet wasn't working, but with the ones we were able to connect, God knows, the shouts of joy, the robe of dancing was added to the believers in Iran, to the families of Iran, to the Iranian people. That weight has been lifted off of us, and we are now seeing that God is tremendously at work, and it seems that the long-awaited dream of many Iranians have come to pass, that this evil dictator has fallen.
Amen. Yes. And I was, of course, we all, especially those of us who are on camera, I was a little judged by many of how can you celebrate a death of someone? I was like, he was not a someone. He wasn't even human. He was pure evil. When evil is taken out, you celebrate. Go ahead. He was.
The Bible says that when the wicked falls, the city rejoice. That's in the Bible. And this man truly was a Nazi Hitler type of Islamist that was in charge of Iran. They had no mercy for nobody. Muslim, non-Muslim, Iranian, non-Iranian, didn't matter. These people, this Islamic regime was Satan and his congregation manifested. They have oppressed and ruled with their iron fist since 1979. They have caused so much havoc, so much problems, so much evil, not only for the Persian people, also for the people across the world. Have you already forgotten what happened in October 7th, 2023? But backtrack that all the way to 1979 when the militias, this regime's attack dogs climb the walls of the embassy and went inside and kidnapped 50 or some Americans for 440 some days. Have you forgotten what they have done in Beirut? Bombing the embassy, bombing the Marines. They're killing over 200 people in Beirut. And all of this thing, and you add what they did last month to the Iranian people, upward of only God knows 60, 70,000 Iranians were massacred. Their blood filled the canals and the channels on the streets of Tehran and all sorts of cities. Have you already forgotten that? God forbid. This is justice. This is a time to rejoice that these evil people cannot conduct more evil on Iranians and export it abroad.
Exactly. But now let's touch on what a lot of people are calling breaking news. So it must be very desperate, which me and you, we very much know that that regime is beyond desperate today. But just on top of my head, I can think of Iran's constitutional Article 107, 109, and 111 that was absolutely broken for IRGC to anoint Khamenei's son as the new supreme leader.
Yes. So he's going to last about another, he's going to last about another few hours. So while he's there, whoever the IRGC wants to kill puts in position of power in these days. That's the truth of it. The poor guy in the head of Hezbollah, which is the arm extended of IRGC into Lebanon, which I was there just a few weeks ago. That's the arm of the IRGC. The guy declared war on Israel, and probably less than an hour he was gone and done away with. So let's see how far Mujtaba, the son of Khamenei, would last. I don't even believe he exists or he's alive. You have not seen him since the bombing of early Saturday morning. I think he was with his dad in that compound in the palace of the Ayatollah when the bombing happened. But now they have this imaginary leadership because there is no one left, and they're still barking in the air. Their end is drawing near. The victory is at hand. Glory to God. We will reclaim Persia once again.
Amen. And I'm glad you said that, because here's the curious part. So we have confirmation with that one strike. Well, it was more than one missiles, but at the same time, one a strike. Khamenei out. Khamenei's wife dead. Few hours in coma, then died. Khamenei's daughter, Khamenei's son-in-law, Khamenei's grandchild, Khamenei's daughter-in-law, who was Mojtaba's wife, they all died, but somehow Mojtaba didn't? What are they trying to do? Dead. Make Imam Zaman out of him?
No, it's time to dance. When you're making an announcement of those names, it's time to dance. Can I stand up and dance? Glory to God.
Yes, please. Let's go.
That was the congregation of Satan himself that they've been ruling. So that was what they hid.
And that was the thing. So earlier today, I saw the reports of, so the temporary government of President, head of judiciary, and guardian council decided to have Khamenei's son, Mojtaba, to be the oversight for them. And then hours later, it's like, okay, now he's supreme leader. I'm like, okay, first of all, he meets none of the requirements. None of them. He does not have the education. He's not a scholar. He does not have the ranking to issue fatwas. He has never been part of any official level of government. He's been always behind all the crackdowns and killing Iranian people. No problem. He loves his IRGC people. But without any requirement, in a couple of hours, as you said, the first thing in my head, I'm like, okay, so somehow this one survives when everyone else died. This one survives, and then suddenly, without any process, after Majlis Khobregan or assembly of experts is hit this morning, I'm like, okay.
Yeah, the average age there was over 90 years. Yeah. The 86 people added to about 1,500 years of age that, dead or alive, they didn't matter, but they controlled Iran, and they anointed the dead anointed the dead. I promise you that.
I thought about that. I'm like, okay, so they're all now in their, they're in their imaginary heaven with 72 versions just anointing each other at this point because there's nothing they can do anymore. I shouldn't be laughing, but it is so joyful to know they have lost full control that I can't stop giggling. It's like, it is ridiculous that they still pretend to have some sort of grip over anything. Pretty much more than 50% of IRGC buildings and headquarters have been demolished. There is maybe a handful of besieged departments left still existing. Majlis Khubragan is gone. As a good friend of mine this morning said, they would have died tomorrow of old ages anyways, so nobody's going to mourn Dad. So it's clear for me and you, of course, it's clear, but for our American viewers, it's still pretty confusing as to, oh, there's a new supreme leader. Oh, they're going to kill the new supreme leader. So that's why I wanted to bring up this. I kind of knew you're going to agree that it's a hoax. It doesn't even exist. He's dead. And even if he isn't dead, he doesn't have the qualifications, meaning nobody's going to listen to him anyways. Which, by the way,
at this point, I think, Annie, sorry to cut you off, but at this point, whoever they have put in charge of anything, they have been taken out. So at this point, they are anticipating, well, if we put so on and so who in this position, they're not gonna last. Therefore, let's put somebody in there that is dead, so it doesn't really matter anymore. It's just the guy is dead anyway. So let's roll with that. And I would love to use this platform because this is important for the American audience. I truly saw that President Trump was at a junction to gain 1.5 million, 2 million voters of Iranian Persian Americans who live in America as voters, or the Republicans would lose them forever. And I mean, he just won the heart of 2 million Iranians who have lived in America just like that. This is a good day. I mean, he dared. This man is an adult. President Trump is an adult, and he dared to confront every president and administration prior to this, including President Reagan. They just kicked the can down the road because they said this is going to be too complicated if we go to Iran. And the more they kick the can down the road and pass it to the next administration, the situation was getting more complicated. The proxy were getting stronger. The militias were getting more violent and emboldened every time. But this man, we need to put his face in the Mount Rushmore. We really do. This man is fighting for the free world, and thank God for him. He is an adult, he is responsible, and he is dared to confront the biggest problem that the world, the peaceful world, the peace-loving world was dealing with, and that's the regime of Iran. And when this issue is dealt with, the head of the octopus now is crushed, when the tentacles have already gone, when it's uprooted outside of Iran, America will gain one good ally, a real ally in Middle East, and you just behold, the best is yet to come.
I will agree, and I will add to that we should also not forget the bravery of Benjamin Netanyahu. If it wasn't for him starting what he started last year during 12 Days War, today would have been 10 times harder. So Benjamin Netanyahu and President Trump, I would say we should do more of operations like this together.
Yeah, Bibi proved to the world that Iran was just nothing but a bluff. They proved to us. He stood up to the big bad monster and showed everybody that this big bad monster is nothing. They're good at proxies. They're good in as causing havoc. They're good at sending sleeper cells and hitmans and those type of stuff. But you're seeing the country and their infrastructure, everything is being plowed. It's being plowed, and they have no response and no answers. The best they could do, hit the Dubai airport. That's how dumb these people are.
Somebody on the Israeli Channel 12 mentioned it, which I agree with. At this point, Islamic Republic of Iran's regime is just trying to destroy as much as they can because they know their days are numbered. They're just throwing their missiles wherever. Exactly. They know they're going down. Closing thoughts on, I have been asked this, I have answered it my own way. I have heard this from many Iranians, but I know your passion towards this. With what we have been witnessing last few years in Iran, on closing thoughts, do you believe that, of course, Trump, Bibi, IDF, our own soldiers, men and women in uniform, but do you believe we are at the point where Lord has forgiven the mistakes of Iran and is going to revive Iran into one of his nations?
I believe that with all of my heart. Not only Iran will redeem the past 47 years, but we're just going to show the whole world the true face of the Persian culture. And we're willing to, folks, when this regime is gone and the prince is installed back in Iran and it's back to a normal situation, come visit Iran and you will see everything that they have been telling you in the mainstream media about this government. That's Iran. Will be welcoming you, hosting you, taking around in Iran, giving you some Persian food, and you will be, you're like, man, what we were missing. This is a great place to be. And and as I say, America and Israel will gain a real ally, not Muslim ally, but a real ally in Middle East that is going to change the whole region once for good.
Yes, and while you visit, you might be surprised at when you will walk into some of the most beautifully architect churches that you will be seeing in your whole life. Perfect.
Since it's the day of Purim, the celebration of Purim. Remember, Esther's and Mordecai's tomb both exist in Iran today. So you can visit those too.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Mama John, where do our audience here at Brown House Live go to follow up with what you're doing with your reporting and also support your ministry?
Absolutely. If you search my name as you have correctly spelled it, you can find my YouTube channel, and our ministry is called Iranian Christians International. The website is Iran or Iran, however you pronounce it, IranChristians.org. And I have a book that you can get this book absolutely free of charge on our website, Forsaking My Father's Religion. That's the story of how God rescued me while I was a IRGC soldier, how God rescued me out of my miserable life and brought me to his kingdom. And I'm forever thankful.
Hallelujah. Appreciate you very much. I will be in touch. Let's get ready. Let me know when you start packing your suitcase, because I'll be doing the same thing. I'm going to head your way first, and then we're all going to, Hediya said she's going to join us on the same flight. We're just going to head to Iran. And yes, and I made it very clear, just so you know, the first stop, I want some kebab. So when we get there, we grab our kebab, and then we go wherever you want to go. But first stop is kebab.
I can't wait to see that day by the grace of God. The best is yet to come.
Absolutely. Be safe, Mama John. I will be in touch.
God bless you.
Okay. That was it, guys. That was it for tonight on Brown House Live. And let me remind you, I tried my best to remember. I didn't do much reads. We only took one ad break. So remember, this entire network, not just Brown House Live, but this entire network, the World YouTube Network, is audience support it. So as long as you're supporting us, we can come back, we can do the reporting, we can talk to you with facts tonight, with some emotion, true human emotion of those involved with the events that is taking place in Middle East, from Israel side to the Iran side. We do need your support. Few ways that you can support. If you like to do a tax-deductible donation, that your destination will be www.foundation.com. That's www.foundation.com, where you can make a 100% tax-deductible donation to Brannon's ministry that does support the network. You can also go to worldviewtube.com/sponsors. That is where you can see the list and banners and links of all the sponsors of Brannon House Live, including Numi and Bella Grace and many other wonderful products that Brannon and Melissa have used, and they are now vouching for. Another way is worldviewstore.com. That's worldviewstore.com, where you can buy everything you need to be prepared for what my life might throw at you. Last but not least is worldviewtube/vault, where you can get access to exclusive programming of articles, research, videos, radio, interviews, all of it, documentaries, all for a very small monthly or annual fee. You get access to over 38 years of truth, fact, and reporting. Thank you again for joining us tonight. I hope I was able to carry on the show. I'm sure it wasn't as good as Brannon, but it was an honor to be here on Brannon House Live, and we will see you next time.
Faith, spiritual values, moral issues, government, economy, education, work, responsibility. What we think about these depends on our worldview. Now, VCY America presents Worldview Radio with Brannon House.
And welcome to the broadcast. Glad you are with us. We're going to be joined by former National Intelligence Officer, literal rocket scientist, Navy pilot, Jason Pratt. He was actually stationed for a year or more in Bahrain, in the actual building he worked that we just saw get targeted and blown up the other day. We have some pictures of him standing in front of that building. We're going to get his analysis on what's happening, because his area of expertise, as I just said, is as a rocket scientist. It's also in the area of putting up satellites. It's also in the area of drones. So we have a lot to talk about with him. We're also going to be joined, of course, by our reporter on the ground in Israel, Aaron Lavarco. Before we get to them, let me just simply state, I'm planning on doing my radio show all week long. I'm planning on doing the radio, but I will not be doing the Worldview Report at all this week. Two things collided into, what's the Bible say? You make the plans, you lay down plans, but the Lord directs the actual outcome. So for many months, I had planned to take a lot of this week off to spend time with my wife for our 35th wedding anniversary. And not only do I have a herniated disc at C6 and C7 in the neck, which was getting really, really better, improving, until I did something really dumb last night. I picked up Dolly and put her in the tub. And that was not a smart move. So that just set me back a few days. But we'll get over this. A lot of you have had it. We've been hearing from a lot of you, but you do know how excruciating it is. The biggest problem is going to bed at night. You just can't sleep. You just cannot get comfortable. You literally have to sleep sitting up, because anytime you lay down, you start having pressure, and it's just ridiculously painful. So you spend the night literally sitting up, like in a chair. That's the only way I can get any sleep. And you don't get very much like that. But that had to happen right now, right? And then war broke out. And so all of these things collided on a week that was supposed to be relaxing, celebrating my 35th wedding anniversary with my wife, and then these two things happened. But she's a trooper. We're carrying on, and we'll be doing radio all week, but I will not be doing the Worldview Report. I'll be doing Brannon House Live tonight, probably Wednesday night, but I'm going to have some guests hosts fill in so I can spend some time with my wife. And really, at the same time, I need to take some time off. I can't type. This is where the problem, the doctor said, started. Years of sitting at a computer, typing and looking down. And so you need to stay off that computer as much as possible, he said. So there you go. But with that said, let's go to our guest. Let's go first to our reporter on the ground in Israel, Aaron Lavarco. Aaron, welcome back to the broadcast. Thank you for joining us. We did a bunch of special broadcasts over the weekend. I want to thank Annie Cyrus. I hosted for 2 hours on Saturday morning from the desk. Then I let her take it from there. Although I was on the calls, I let her take it from there. And thank you for joining us with those. What's the latest there in Israel tonight, Aaron?
Hey, Brandon, I wish and pray for a speedy recovery for you. I'm sorry to hear that.
Thank you.
Well, the latest, oh my gosh, what a day. What a day. I mean, talk about precision striking. Israel, America are working together hand in hand. This is absolutely brilliant strategic planning, and we can see how this has been planned. This is not just off-the-cuff decisions. They're penetrated inside of Iran, taking out at least 1,500 IRGC fighters, also taking out military installations. They have full air supremacy over Iran now. On top of that, and I'll get back to Iran, during the night, the war opened up from the north. Hezbollah decided that they are going to get involved, and so they have started to fire missiles at us up in the north. And our military intelligence obviously knew this was happening, because first they called up 70,000 reservists. That number has now grown to 100,000, and we're not taken by surprise. You know, I was thinking about that today, Brandon. What a difference, even sitting here 2.5 years ago when the war began on October the 7th. Do you remember how dark I looked, how shattered I was, the whole nation? This is so different. We're under the same kind of war, but we are in such a different place. We're in a place of strength. We've got 1 foot ahead of our enemies, to say the least. This is from a place of strength, a place of on the front foot. We know where our enemies are firing from. We have the United States Navy and Air Force with us. Donald Trump is calling for the IRGC to surrender. He's offering immunity to any soldiers that do that surrender. But he has made it very clear. He said, we haven't even begun. Can you believe that? We haven't even begun. And he said it's going to get even more intense. And, can you imagine how the Iranian people are feeling hearing this kind of talk from the greatest superpower in the world, pulling down their regime? I'm seeing videos all around the world of Iranians cheering, London, Melbourne, Australia. And the crazy thing is, today, right at this moment, it is now 9 p.m. in Israel. This is the beginning of Purim, the Feast of Esther. And one of the big themes of the book of Esther is everything turned around. And here I am hearing people, mainly the Iranians all around the world, they're cheering Israelis. They're going out with Israeli flags. It's like Donald Trump